Was Abraham secretly on Team Serpent? Hi, I'm Bryn Jocelyn, a Bible nerd trying to better understand my Bible and help others do the same. In Genesis 3, while cursing the serpent, God mentions that his descendants, the serpent's descendants, and the woman's descendants would be at war with one another. This statement is not only a prediction forward to Jesus, but also establishes two categories. On one side, there are people who embody the traits of the serpent, promoting chaos, deception, and destruction. On the other side, there are those who fulfill the role of the woman by being true images of God, reflecting his glory and living in harmony with his will. In other words, Team God versus Team Serpent. Fast forward to Genesis 12 and we find Abraham, then known as Abram, in Egypt. Fearing that people might kill him to take his wife, he tells everyone that Sarai, his wife, is his sister. We read in Genesis 12 verses 14 to 15 that the Egyptians saw that Sarai was beautiful, good to look at, and took her. This phrasing mirrors the language used to describe Eve and the forbidden fruit in Genesis 3, where Eve saw that the fruit was good and took it. So if we read these two stories together, the Egyptians, often seen as the bad guys, are playing the role of Eve, who sees something is good and takes it. Which raises the question, if the Egyptians are playing the role of Eve, what role does Abraham play? Abraham plays the role of the serpent. Like the serpent, he lies and manipulates, leading others to do wrong. In this moment, Abraham's actions are not those of a faithful image bearer of God, but of a serpent sowing distrust and disorder. The man of God, chosen to be the father of his people, is playing the role of the serpent. Now, as we know, that is not the end of Abraham's story. Ultimately, he chooses to align himself with God's purposes and fathers Isaac, who fathers Jacob, who fathers the 12 tribes of Israel, each carrying God's promise. But the point still stands. Sometimes God's chosen people play the role of the serpent rather than image bearers of God. We should then raise the question for us, where in our lives might we be acting more like a serpent than as image bearers? Are there moments where fear, insecurity, or selfishness lead us to deceive or manipulate others? Recognizing these tendencies is the first step towards repentance and renewal, as we strive to reflect God's image faithfully in our actions and choices. If you found that interesting, why not watch this video on the gap theory of Genesis 1 verse 1 to 2.